for a joint probability table, all the values in the middle of the table are going to add up to 1. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And you'll notice out here, this is the sum of this row. This is the sum of that row. This is the sum of that column. This is the sum of this column. So these add up to 1, and these add up to 1. So that's how you know it's a joint probability table, when the values in the main part of the table, under the B1, B2, and next to the A1, A2, all those will sum to 1. That's different from the conditional probability table that we did here. Notice these 6, 7, 8, 9 don't add up to 1. In this column here, 5, 6, 7 plus a 6, they don't add up to 1. They add up to 1 going across, but they don't add up to 1 in the columns. So in this case we want to find the probability of A2 given B2. So given B2 means we're only playing in this column here. So this is the total outcomes that can happen in this state of nature B. So under state of nature B2, this is our world, 0.3. So if we're going to calculate the chances of A2 happening in this world, the total here is 0.3, so it's going to be 0.1 divided by 0.3, or 0.3333 repeating. So that's a pretty easy one to find. So we're going to look at the total for column B2, which is here, and we're going to take the value in here for A2 and divide it by the total. So you just look at this as be similar to a ratio. All right, let's move on to the next one. And this one is definitely a little bit more challenging, question number 9, but I know it's something that you guys can all handle. Now in this case, we're going to set up another joint probability table. What we have to begin with is a conditional probability table that we'll set up, and then we'll convert that to a joint probability table to figure out the probability. What we're trying to do is find the probability of steady job. So if you think about it, what we're trying to find out is the probability of steady job, which would be like one of these values here or one of these values over here. But first we have to set up a joint probability table similar to what we've done here by looking at all the crazy information that we have in here. So we have our conditional probabilities right here, and we need to use our conditional probabilities to set up our joint probability table. So let's go to Excel and we'll do this real quick, and you'll see how easy it is. Alright, so first we have our conditional probabilities. So first we have good job, or good credit, bad credit. And over the top we have our steady job and no steady job. So we'll set this up, go ahead and center those like we did a minute ago. And what did our data say? It said that our probability of steady job with good credit is 0.9, and our probability of steady job with bad credit is 0.25. Probability of no steady job with good credit is 0.1. Probability of no steady job with bad credit is 0.75. So how is all this going to work? So let's go back over here and we'll say 0.9 and 0.1, 0.25, and 0.75. So we know that with a good job, with good credit, we have these two probabilities, and they will add up to 1, right? They all add up to 1. And remember, that's what we did on the last one. So these are our conditional probabilities. So we know that conditioned on having a good credit, it can be either one of these two things, and they have to add up to 1. Conditioned on having bad credit, you can have either one of these two things, steady job, no steady job, and they have to add up to 1. Alright, so, but we also know that we have some probabilities in here of credit risk being good of 0.25, and so obviously the opposite of having a bad credit risk is 0.75. So we have the probabilities of having these states of nature is what did it say again? Probability of good credit is 0.25, and probability of having bad credit is 0.75, which is just obviously the inverse of that one. Okay, so now we have our basic conditional probabilities, and we have the probability on these states of nature, these two states of nature right here. So what we want to find out is what is the probability of the other state of nature, on the other states of nature, which in this case we're going to find out the probability that a customer has a steady job. So all we're going to have to do in this case is just do a little quick math here, and we are going to multiply our states of nature times these values to get our conditional probabilities. So in this case we'll say the 0.25. I'm going to set up another table down here, and this is going to be our joint probability table. So we'll just take our 0.9 times our 0.25, 0.9 times our 0.25, and that gives us 0.225. In this case we're going to say our 0.1 times our 0.25, and that'll be 0.025. And I'm just going to drag these down because that will work in Excel. And so what we have in this case, you'll notice that we have really a different, this is our joint probability table, and we have steady job, no steady job, good credit, bad credit. And so what is the probability of having a good credit? The probability of having good credit is the sum of these two guys, which, if you recall from up here, is 0.25. So this should look very familiar. 0.25, and the sum is 0.75. See, the same thing. Now look what we have here. Now what's the probability of having steady job and no steady job? Same basic process. 0.4125, we're just adding them up in the columns, and 0.5875. So the probability of having, and you notice that these column adds to 1, and this row here adds to 1. So either way it adds to 1. It adds to 1 in this way or this way. So the probability of having a steady job is 0.4125. We just add these guys up. So the answer, after all of that work, is 0.4125. But I did a lot of explaining, so hopefully you'll be able to kind of whip through that a little bit faster. Again, you just fill out this table with the information that was given, multiply it by the probabilities to come up with your joint probability table, and then whatever value you're trying to solve for. If you're trying to solve for they don't have a steady job, it's going to be adding up the items underneath the no steady job. Steady job, good job, we already have that because it's the same as here. So what you're typically solving for, one of these two values down here. Alright, well that solves question number 9. I'm going to leave question number 10 to you guys because I've really already solved it in class. All I did was change around the prior probabilities from 50-50 to a 60-40 split on the chances of it being a short winter or a long winter. So I would just encourage you to take the sheet I handed out last time, try to walk through that yourself, and try to change those probabilities to 0.4 and 0.6 and see what values you come up with. And go ahead and email me. I'd love to hear from you what values you came up with and see if we get some consensus on the class. Okay, well hopefully that helps everybody, and look forward to seeing you at the test on Tuesday. And everybody have a fantastic weekend, but do study hard, and I encourage you to even get on the phone or try to get in person with folks either on Friday or on Monday to study in teams. Okay, thanks. Bye guys.